Hey, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Qualified Humans. This is episode 5. This episode, we have the photographer Willis on, and he really does drop a ton of gems. And he shares his very unique story of being in the military and then transitioning into a full-time artist. And it really is interesting, kind of code switching in that way, being in something that's very structured and then going to something that's can be very unstructured depending on what part of your creative process you're doing. But yeah, it was a really great conversation. We also talked about art and politics, and we talked about growing as a person as well. So yeah, this was a really fun episode. Thank you guys for watching. Peace. All right, welcome to another episode of Qualified Humans. We got a special guest today, Mr. Willis.
Boop, 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 boop.
How you doing?
I'm living the dream.
Living the dream. What's been going on, man?
Making art, looking at art,
Nice.
keeping up with geopolitics,
Nice.
maintaining my household. That's really it, man.
Maintaining your household. Are there any like geopolitics that you're kind of concerned about?
So the Hegseth calling all the brigadier generals and admirals to the meeting that's supposed to happen like tomorrow. Like everyone, like every brigadier general from every COCOM has to like come to this meeting in Quantico.
Okay.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
What is that?
But the last time they did it was like when they did a whole restructuring of the military, like in the 90s. So it's like kind of a big deal.
Interesting.
That, and if the government closes down on the 30th, they're gonna do like mass firings. Did you like read about that?
Did,
yeah, and it's like something like 15,000 people are gonna get laid off.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
So it's intense.
Yeah.
So
not great. And you said you have military experience too.
yeah,
right?
I did 21 years in the Navy.
21.
Yeah.
When'd you go? 6 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2023.
So you went to school while you were still in?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you were reserves.
Yeah, I was a reserves.
Got you.
But I started while I was active reserve, so I deployed like every year.
Okay, got
And
you.
then like the Navy has like an instruction where if you do a deployment that's over 90 days, you automatically qualify for like your good year, which is like 50 points. You know, when you're deployed, it's like day for day. Right. So instead of like Friday and Saturday counting as like the point or however it works out, like if you're on orders, once you do 50 days, you technically qualified for your whole year.
Got you. So were you just doing that some years?
Yeah, I did it every year. I would find somebody, maybe like somebody got pregnant or broke their leg and they had like a gap billet, and I would just hop in that billet for like, the 60 days or 11 months and, get drummed up a paycheck, and you get per diem for your home, your home of record. I'd do that and then come back and drop my paperwork and just like go to SCAD for like 6 months uninterrupted.
That is insane.
Yeah.
What a plan. I mean, that's a great plan. I wish I had followed that rubric.
Yeah, it started because COVID, like I was here, like visiting my grandma, and they put, they canceled like all government travel. Like they were like, if you're wherever you're at, you got to stay. And like people who were like TAD or somewhere like in a hotel, they just had to like stay in the hotel till they figured everything out. So I happened to be here visiting my grandma, and they're like, yeah, you can't go anywhere. Military travel is like, just done until we figure this COVID thing out. So I was like, all right, and I just enrolled into SCAD and used my benefits, and I like just lived here and hung out.
Crazy. So let's talk about that, because how did you like find SCAD, and how did you find out, like, did you always want to do photography, or is that just kind of like a...
Yeah, so I used to hunt pirates off the coast of Africa, and like you'll go out for like 2 weeks and you come back in for 2 weeks, and the ships will rotate that way. And there was a guy that I was cool with, and he popped positive for doing coke while we were on like our furlough time. And so they were finna kick him out the Navy, and like when you get kicked out the Navy or the military in general, they just kind of like do your paperwork, and then they walk you outside the base, and they're like, find your way home. So he had to like sell a whole bunch of stuff to kind of get his money up before he went home. And He had a camera, a Nikon D90. He's like, man, I'll sell this to you for like $800. And then I was like, oh, all I got is like $300. I was lying, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, yeah, all I got is $300. It's payday. And I partied too hard. And he's like, I'll take it. So I bought that from him. And like I was taking pictures of like camels and like Arabic sunsets and sunrises and stuff like that. I look back on the pictures and they're like terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, objectively speaking, because now I have like the formal education. Now I look at them and be like, these are trash. But at the time I was like, oh, these are pretty good. So I came here and I was like, I'm gonna just learn a skill. I got nothing but time, post 9/11, the Montgomery GI Bill, all that stuff. And so I knew SCAD was like the #1 art school in the country at the time. It was like them and like the Rhode Island Institute of Art were like back and forth. And I was like, I'm right here. It's like not far. So I just enrolled and they were like, yeah, we'll take you. Cool. And I just did my whole undergrad. And then my last year I had to deploy. So I did like 3 years uninterrupted. And then they were like, you can travel again. And I picked up a set of orders to Mississippi for like 2 years. And I was down there at the Stennis Space Center in Mississippi. And then finished that up. Me and my old lady, we moved back up here, did my last year, and then rolled right into the master's program.
Okay. And how are you liking the master's program now?
It's cool. I think it's weird to like have that brain chemistry shift to be like, I'm gonna do art, you know, like I'm gonna be a full-time artist, you know? And so like once, you know, your brain kind of shifts like, I'm gonna go hard in the paint for art, and then it's like, okay, cool, I need to know what everybody did before me. I need to be like educated on like the masters, you know, so I can like take cues from them and not make something be like, I made this, and then somebody be like, oh nah, you know, what's his name did that like 40 years ago, you know? It's like art is weird because it's like you know, they say like multiple animals have like evolved into a crab. It's like that's like the ideas behind art. It's like multiple people can come across the same like art style or art technique or even the same kind of style in which they use to convey like their idea. But they got to that point from like completely different places. And so I always think that's like the most interesting part about art. Because it's like, it's an idea made manifest, right? It's like you as a person, like you have this idea and you're like, I think this idea is so important, I'm going to create a thing that encapsulates that idea. And so then you create it, and then like you're beholden to like the empathy of everybody else around you to be able to look at your art and be like, I know what that dude's trying to say, you know, or that person's trying to say pronouns matter. So I get it, you know, and then they have like this better understanding of like what it is to be like human and exists on this planet, you know, in relation to other like humans.
You know, all right. So this is a great time to ask you the question that I ask everybody, which is, what does it mean to be a qualified human? And I think for you, it's so interesting because you clearly have lived a lot of life.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And I can definitely relate also to like being in this very structured environment that has, I don't want to say nothing to do with anything creative, but there's like a lot of things that aren't creative in the military. Yeah. And it's very much like spoon-fed stuff. Yeah. To now transitioning into like everything is creative. Yeah. Like, everything is inspiration. Yeah. Right? So I'm curious, what does being a qualified human mean to you?
I think it's just being like a decent human being, you know, it's like having the empathy to look at another individual's like plight, like on this planet and be like, oh, I understand where you're coming from. You know, like I'm very much of the mind that as long as whatever you do doesn't directly impact like my life and my existence, I don't care what it is that you're doing, you know, and I like think it's weird that some people don't have that same mentality. You know, like you can like literally, you can live in Alabama, in the middle of Alabama, and like something like, you know, gay marriage bothers you, but like why? You know, like are you gonna you don't plan on marrying somebody from the same sex? You don't plan on, you know? Right. So it's like one of those things where like I'll never get it, I'll never understand it, you know, and I think less of people who do have that mentality, you know, and try and like dictate like the rules in somebody else's life.
Right. Because it is weird. Like, why are you so bothered
Yeah.
by somebody who you probably won't ever meet in
You're
your entire
right.
life, and they're not doing anything harmful?
Yeah.
Like, what's the issue? Then you have people. I think the weird thing about those people too is like if it's somebody that they like and they're doing something that actually is harmful,
They totally don't even like.
they're
Yeah,
you know
the
what I'm
blinders
saying?
are on.
It's just we live in a very interesting world because of that. But yeah, I think that's a great answer. Yeah, my answer is like somewhat wrapped around like everyone is a qualified human, and how we become qualified human is based off of like how much humanity we have, how much empathy we have, how much we can like put ourselves in other people's shoes. And I try to say everyone's a qualified human because you would think that we're all capable. But one of the things that I'm finding out now is that
Some people lack the capacity.
they genuinely
Yeah,
lack
some
the
people.
capacity.
Yeah, some people genuinely lack the capacity to be able to like look at another individual and like put themselves in that person's shoes and be like, oh, I wouldn't like it if that was done to me, you
Right.
know. And it's just like, how could you not, you know?
I genuinely don't understand it. But yeah, that's why I made this podcast, because I want to talk about like those topics and see kind of I want to expose those people like you who you can tell like you care about things, which is what I love about artists in general. Most good artists care about things.
Yeah.
And care about people most importantly too. Right?
Yeah, I think that, man, like, you only get like one go round on this planet, you know, and like you have to get the most out of it that you can, you know, and you gotta like leave your mark. I think like that's the most, and you want to leave a good mark,
Right.
You know,
Right.
you don't want to just leave a mark. You want to leave like a good mark. I think it's like Aristotle or Plato said that like society like progresses when a man plants a tree that he knows he'll never enjoy the shade of.
Yes.
You know, and so like I think that's like that pretty much sums up like how I hope to like live my life. See, most artists never they aren't famous until they die, you know. Like if you look at it, like Van Gogh only sold like 2 paintings his entire life, you know. Like most famous fine art photographers don't become famous until after they've died and they're not making any more work. So like I've learned to accept the idea that like if I become a famous photographer, like it probably won't be while I'm alive. I won't see the fruits of my labor. But that doesn't mean like I'm gonna stop doing it, you know? I'm gonna just do it because I love photography.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you said that, because going back to the being a human thing, a lot of my philosophy is I can do something nice right now. Like, let's say I just did something nice for you, right, randomly. I might not really know how that's affecting you ever. And it's the same thing that you're talking about with art. It's like you took a beautiful photo. It might have been just of your house.
Yeah.
It might have been of your studio, right? And probably 80 years from now, somebody looks at it and they just get overwhelmed with emotion.
Yeah.
And you won't get to experience that. But when you were taking this photo, it meant something to you, right? You put that out there for a reason.
Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%. Like, I just hope that somebody will enjoy the thing that I created, and I hope they can like, I don't know, just take something from it. That, to me, that's the most important thing, you know?
Right.
I feel like in this day and age, like, we consume so much, you know? Like, I think I was on TikTok till like 5 o'clock in the morning last night, you know? Like, my legs like sleep in the bed. I'm just like doom scrolling, you know? And I'm like, I literally gained nothing from that, you know? I was just like consuming media, you know? And I would hope that like people would look at my work and not do that. They just be like, oh, like I genuinely got something out of this work, like, you know. Yeah, that's crazy.
I get it. So with your career and with like photography, are there any like special places where you want to go and like reach any goals that you want to get to?
I think my ultimate goal, and I think it's like a pretty low like goal, but like I would like at least one of my pictures to be in like the permanent collection at the High, just because like I'm from here, you know, like I would love to have something like here. But I just won this competition in Paris, France, like this international competition.
Nice.
So it's just kind of like I'm just trying to like build up you know, like my repertoire, my resume, whatever you want to call it, to kind of like get to that point. And I remember in the military, they always teach you like short, small, attainable goals lead to like big results. And so like that's all I've been trying to do is like, how do I get my stuff into the high? How do I put myself in these circles with people that could actually influence somebody at the high to like buy, you know, one of my works or whatnot, or even in a museum altogether. I think I got like a piece at a Center Santa Fe, like in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And then like the city of Atlanta bought like 2 pieces from me and they put them in like the main library downtown. And I got a couple other things in other places. So like I'd like to think I'm doing, you know, a good job of moving towards that goal. But I don't know, sometimes you can look at your goal and just be like overwhelmed, you know?
Yes,
You just be like, oh, like, you know, why isn't it shaking? You know, why aren't things like shaking the way that I want them to? And I just like learned in a long time ago that you just have to like, you have to run your race and you can't look at how like other people are like running theirs and compare like what they got going on to what you got going on. My granddaddy always used to say, never count the money in another man's wallet, you know? And so like, I try and do that as far as like art, you know? And I'd be like, oh, why'd they win that competition? Or why'd they get recognized and I didn't get recognized? And I think I may work just as good as them, if not better, you know? But I try like very hard to like in my head just be like, nah, that's not how you need to look at it. You need to congratulate that person on the motion that they got going on and like just stay focused. And so I think that's what I try and do most of the time, you know, but it's hard. Like I'm human,
Right.
you know, like sometimes I get jealous, sometimes I get envious, you know, and like I think like you just have to like manage that. I think some people just let that like consume them.
Right.
You know, and I like very much try and like manage that.
Yeah, I feel like it's usually the people who have trouble acknowledging it are the people that have like that it consumes. You know what I mean? But it sounds like you're not comfortable with that, but comfortable with acknowledging the fact that like, no, I'm a little bit jealous right now. Let me manage that. let me go focus on my own work. And what's interesting too, correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, it sounds like you've had a lot of success in a very short amount of period of time. Is that because it's like only been 6 years?
Yeah, I think
years?
I've been doing photography like 6 years, maybe 8 years. And I guess on the outside looking in, it does look like, you know, I've done a couple things, and when I tell like people stuff, they be like, man, like you really doing it. But like on the inside looking out, like I still feel like it ain't enough. You know what I'm saying? And that's unfortunate, you know, but I think that's just the nature of the beast. I think like the military has like this culture of excellence, right? It's like you will be perfect, you will do this, you know, and you will be flawless when you do it. Like I was a cryptologist in the Navy, a code breaker, and they used to tell us all the time, like, oh, if you mess up or you get something wrong, like somebody could die, because it's like actionable intelligence. You know what I'm saying? Like you are literally doing a job, and like whatever you found out is going to the war fighter that's like forward deployed, and they'll use that to like create missions, you know? So it's like you can never be bad at your job, you know? And so like it's been really hard to kind of like manage expectations, because in the military it's like, what do I need to do to get promoted? What do I need to do to get recognized? And people can be like, you do this, this, and this, and people will recognize like how good you are. But like there's no surefire way like in the art community to like just get famous, you know? You just have to like continuously like plug at it, you know, and hope that somebody will recognize you that's like substantial in the community, because it's a lot of gatekeeping, you know?
Somebody needs to pull you up pretty much.
Yeah, and it's like even harder like when you're a person of color, you know, because it's like what 2% of all art in every museum in America is like made by African American, you know? So it's just like the hurdles are Herculean, you know? So I try not to like focus on that part, and I just try and be like, I will make something like that's fire, and I'm gonna put it on the internet, and maybe somebody will see it, you know, and be like, oh, I'll pay you money for that. So
it'll happen. It'll happen.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, so what are some things that you do as an artist to like kind of take your mind off of that stuff? Like, what do you do to relax so you're not like constantly thinking about, oh, I gotta achieve this or I gotta go work?
Yeah. I think. I mean, I read a lot. I got like a ton of books. I play video games. I try and just kind of experience life. I think I'll fall back to the military all the time. But like when I was like deployed, deployments are weird because I feel like deployments are the closest thing you'll ever get to going to jail without actually going to jail. You know, you just wake up, you do this thing all day long, and then like you're done doing the thing for that day, and then you like go to sleep or you hang out with your friends, and you do that from anywhere from 6 months to 18 months depending on where you're at, you know. And so you really quickly, I remember being in the middle of the ocean and like just seeing water, and it like as far as the eye can see, and it's like placid, it looks like glass, and I used to be like, I could be doing any other thing but this, you know, like what would I rather be doing right now? I'd rather be sitting on my porch with my grandma eating pecans. I'd rather be hanging out with my cousin, you know, like on the block, just like, you know, lollygagging, you know, or I'd rather go to the museum than do this, you know. And I remember like making these super long lists of things I would do like when I got back. And so I really try and stay honest to that. I really try and like enjoy my peace. I really try and not get like enthralled into like the motion of things. You know, like some people just got to be out and about. They got to like be on not knocking people who go on vacation or like, but are you going on vacation because like you want to see the world, or you going on vacation so people know you're like well traveled, you know,
Right.
like that type of stuff. You know, and I've been to 28 different countries, you know, all on the military's dime, you know, so like I don't really necessarily feel like I want to travel anymore, but I just want to like live life, and I want to be able to like enjoy my life and like have multiple experiences that just like I feel like further me as like an individual.
Word. That's beautiful.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. So another thing I want to talk about is all of this behind us. What is on this wall?
It's my collection of black superheroes. So we got the Trump check, the Moneybag Joe check during COVID, right?
Yeah,
and
I remember.
Yeah, they're like, don't save it. You got to stimulate the economy. You got to buy something. And so I had like I had GI Joes at first, and Black Panther had come out not too far before COVID, and so I was like, oh, I'm gonna just buy like all the Black Panther action figures, you know, and I'll have them like on my wall because I used to have the GI Joes on my wall. And so I started looking at all the Black Panther figures, and I was like, oh, who are the other ones, like Storm and Miles Morales? And so it just kind of like ballooned into this thing where like I started buying like all the black action figures because representation matters, you know. So it's like somebody's got to buy the black action figures so that they make more black action figures, you know. So sometimes it's funny because sometimes I'll buy like 2 or 3 of them, and I put one on the wall, and I'll give one to like my best friend. He's got like a little boy. I'll give one to him, and sometimes I'll just keep them like here. And if like I ever meet like a little kid, I'll be like, here you go, like a little black kid, you know, I'll be like, here you go. So just kind of spread the, you know, like the inspiration, you know, and like the representation.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was a kid, I asked my dad who his favorite superhero was. He said Green Lantern. I said, Green Lantern? Why is it Green Lantern? At the time, he said that was the only black superhero on TV. And so I was like, yeah. And then I ended up getting like a Green Lantern symbol tatted on me because my dad is my superhero type of thing.
That's fire.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So I absolutely love this. That's a beautiful thing, man. All right, I'm gonna get you out of here on this question. I haven't asked this question before, but I think this is a perfect one for you. What is some advice that you would give your younger self?
Buy stock in GameStop.
Hello.
You know? It's probably like the first one, like when it was $2, like, you know, because I remember celebrating. I was like, yeah, they finna go out of business. I hate GameStop. They never give you enough money for your games when you trade them in. But nah, I think I would tell myself to concentrate on myself more. You know, I feel like I was engaged like twice while I was in the military. I never got married. But, you know, I think like I constantly was kind of trying to impress people. And I don't think I won't say I wasn't a good person, you know, but like I had really like sharp edges, you know, and I think that's like I joined when I was 17 and it was like 9/11 happened. And I was like, I joined the military and I instantly got sent to war. And I was out there like shooting and, you know, ducking and dodging and bleeding before I could even drink alcohol, you know, and I came back home. I was just really rough around the edges, you know, and I don't think I even like attempted to kind of like soften, you know. I was just like, this military, rah, 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 sis, boom, bah, you know, and I was like, I don't know, like I just think I would tell myself, hey, like take a beat, you know, like improve yourself, you know, like it gets better, you know, there's like life after the military, you know, and that's really it. Like I think that would be it, to kind of like just focus on myself more, because in my youth I don't think I did, you know, I don't think there was like enough self-care in my youth. And I think now that like I'm in a healthy relationship, you know, a loving relationship, I don't necessarily want to be, I mean, I want to be a better person for myself, but also I want to be a better person for her, you know, and I think like the better I become, the more I can like invest into this relationship, you know. And I think my partner, my fiance, she deserves it, you know, because she's been there for me through thick and thin. She's been caring and loving. And so I never really knew how to manage a relationship like that, you know? It took time, and I think I definitely hurt some people along the way, and I would like to go back and be like, listen, you don't got to do all that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a person, you know, like they have a life to live, you know, just as you do, and you don't want to like inflict trauma on another person, you know, that energy, you know, like what is energy is never like created nor destroyed. It just changes like forms, you know. And so I feel like you could pass that trauma on to another person. And I don't want to be known for that, you know?
Right. That's a beautiful thing, man. And I think the best thing about that is that you're being so intentional now too. And it's the reality of like the energy that we're constantly putting out.
Yeah.
You don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
Right? So why not make it just good energy and hope for the best?
You
know what I'm saying?
I think about like the Egyptians, they believed in like second death, which was like once you physically die, all the people who knew you, once they die, like you die a second time because there's nobody there to like keep your memory going. And that was like one of the reasons they built like the pyramids and the Sphinx and had these giant statues so people could like look at them and at their works and be like, I remember, you know, Tutankhamun, you know, or Ramses, you know, because of this thing. And I think about that, like just being a regular person, right? It's like you have so many interactions with so many people and they'll remember you that way, you know? And so like, I'd like to be remembered, you know, not to harp on, you know, like current events, but I would like to be remembered as a good person, you know, like when I die, I don't want people to be like, well, you know, bad stuff in, bad stuff out, you know? So, yeah, I really try really hard to like, not make myself likable, but just be a decent person that folks will be like, oh, that dude, that's a solid person, you know? And treat folks how I would want to be treated.
Word. Well, I'm going to get you out of here on that. I appreciate you, Willis.
No problem.
I want to say thank you for joining the pod.
Yeah.
And I really, really do appreciate all your insight today.
Yeah, no problem.
I think that's a beautiful thing. I wish you nothing but the best on your journey, too.
I appreciate that. Same to you, bro.
Yeah, appreciate you.